Hello, this is Matt Wilhelm from Yellowstone Fly Fishing School at Dan Bailey's in Livingston, Montana. And today I'm going to tie a zebra midge. Midges are a very important food source in our local rivers here around Livingston, not only the Yellowstone, but also in the spring creeks. The reason they're so important is because they're very, 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 very abundant. And during this time of year, there aren't any insects that are hatching like mayflies or caddisflies or stoneflies. So the only insect that's really starting to emerge through the water, going through its metamorphosis from larva to pupa to adult, is the midge. So it's a really good fishing opportunity, especially once the waters start to warm up a little bit and the fish's metabolism gains a little bit of speed. They will eat these midges all day long, both as the larva, the pupa, and the adult. But I'll be tying the zebra midge today, which is a very popular fly. It's easy to tie and it's very productive. So we'll get going with that. All right, so now we're going to tie a zebra midge. Midges are small. They run between 4 millimeters and 12 millimeters long. Usually a zebra midge is tied on a size 18 hook, maybe a size 20, and it's usually a curved hook. The hook I'm using today is actually a size 14. Usually wouldn't tie one this big, but for the camera it works a little bit better. This particular hook is a Tiemco 2488, and it's a curved shank hook. So you can tie these in black, you can tie them in red, you can tie them in tan, you can tie them in olive, you can tie them in brown. Today we're going to tie a black one. So I've already put a bead on the hook, and we'll get started. And I'll start my thread, and I'm going to put a thread base down the hook. And you want to put your thread base down so that when your thread hangs down, it's usually right near the barb. All right, then I'm going to cut off this tag. Now I'm going to move the thread kind of back toward the front, and I'm going to tie on a piece of fine or small silver wire. And I'll take and tie that on right next to the bead. And then I'll run my thread one wrap after the other back to that point where I wrapped before when I put my thread base on the hook. Now, and this is a really easy fly to tie, and it's really productive, especially here around Livingston at this time of year on the local spring creeks, Depews, Armstrongs, Nelsons. Also productive in the Yellowstone River, the Shields, the Boulder. One of the reasons it's so productive is that during this time of year you don't have mayfly hatches or stonefly hatches or caddisfly hatches. The only hatch are midges. And midges are very, very numerous in the river, so the fish will eat these, the larva, which is what this zebra midge is imitating as it drifts in the water. And what I'm going to do here is to make the body is I'm going to use my thread. I'm going to do a thread body. I'm going to put one wrap next to the other all the way up toward the bead. Now, if this were a size 18 hook or a size 20 hook, that would be enough thread. But since it's a bigger hook, I'm going to make my body just a little bit bigger. I'm going to wrap back over top and wrapping forward toward the bead, and leave your thread by the bead. Then you take your silver wire and you palmer this wire over top of that black thread body, putting little gaps in between each turn, and then tie that off behind the bead. Cut that excess wire off. Now, what some people will do when they tie a zebra midge is they'll build up a thorax just wrapping the thread around to make it thicker behind the bead. What I do is I like to add a little bit of dubbing. All right, so I'm going to select a dubbing, and there's some dubbing that I have here that's black with some little kind of red flecks in it, and you just need a little tiny bit of dubbing to put a collar behind that bead. And that should be enough right there, just a very, very little amount. And And you put this little dubbing collar on. Right there behind the bead, like that. And now I'm going to whip finish the fly and put a little whip finish knot right here behind the bead. And that's the fly right there. It's easy to tie, it's very productive, and it works really, really well in Livingston area rivers during this time of year. So that's the Zebra Midge.